or let the ministry's post box get full with this demand and exempt us from 185 completely. They are into listening mode. Possible. I mean, in democracy, the voice of people needs to be heard. So still possible this notification is also in the draft mode. We may get that benefit also. Limit on managerial remuneration, anyways were not applicable, but then managerial remuneration requires some of these procedures which are now not necessary for private companies, and therefore again we can say more or less the position of the 56 Act, more or less. There are still some procedures or some paperwork like MD or whole-time director cannot be appointed for a period. We used to appoint in private company lifetime. Till such time is removed or kicked out or second generation takes up. Many directors were not kind of retiring. Now 5 years term and all that is still there. But okay, nonetheless, by and large, I would say the position of 56 is restored. Appointment of KMP, again, some companies having capital under the old 5 crore capital, that was applicable only to a public company, not to a private company. So that also has been kind of restored. The biggest relaxation I would say in this new notification is total exemption to private limited companies from provisions of section 188 which deals with related party transactions. Otherwise, the working of private limited companies would have been severely paralyzed had that exemption not been there. That takes us to the third case study where we are dealing with a company which has share capital of 110 crore, security premium of 340 crore, P&L balance of 50 crore, turnover of company is also 650 crore. Why are all these figures necessary and relevant? Because as far as acceptance of public deposit is concerned, the distinction between private and public is no more there. You don't have to see that way. You have to see whether company is eligible or not eligible. So distinction will have to be made from the point of view of eligibility and non-eligibility. So section 76 defines which company are eligible to accept deposit from others. When I say others, it means from other than members. So that says a public company having a share capital of X amount and having something of that amount is only. So from the given facts, it can be seen that more than 100 crore capital is there. More than 500 crore turnover is there. So therefore, the case that we are dealing with is an eligible company. Now, we need to understand the entire scheme of the things. Compared to 58A, something which has kind of deeply taken its roots in our mind, we have to remove those. Section 73 deals only with deposits from members, whether private or public, whether eligible, not eligible. You can take deposit from members provided you do these 3 or 4 procedures. Number 1, the resolution permitting you to do that at the meeting of the members, which is ordinary resolution. If nothing is said, it's ordinary resolution. Issuing a letter of offer of deposit, filing of letter of offer with ROC, subject to limits of 25% of the share capital and free reserves. You can take deposit from members. This is what is being said to us. The big change here is when you say earlier it was 25% of the net worth, and net worth was so defined so as to include the securities premium or share premium also as part of. Now that net worth what is not there. It is share premium and free reserves. The way free reserve has been defined in section 2, it excludes securities premium. So your 25% maximum cap could get reduced to that extent. We have to take care of that. Section 76 deals with eligible companies which are eligible and to what extent they can take deposits from other than members. Now again here the limits have more or less remained same as they were there in the 58A and rules made thereunder. This limit is again 25% of the net worth. And in case of a short-term deposit, that is 3 months to 6 months, from shareholders and others, a sub-limit of 10% has been carved out. Then there is a separate limit for government company which is 35%, which is added this to 25 plus 10, 35%. 74 is the transition provision. We have a case, when we examine the case, these items one by one, we will discuss what is 74 to say. Now, under section 56 Act, there was a Companies Acceptance of Deposit Rules 1975. Now you have Companies Acceptance of Deposit Rules CADR 2014. So it is important for us to know what are the major differences. By and large, these rules remain same, but there are some very, very important differences. I can count 4 or 5 differences, there may be more, but they are not very significant. The significant differences are, under CADR 1975, deposits by a private company from members were totally exempt, as you saw earlier. This is now not totally exempt, there are some limits on the caps, and there are some procedural items. Second thing, deposits by any company from directors and relatives, the relative word was there, was exempt from section 58A. Now that relative is not there, it is only directors with the condition that they give a declaration to the company that this is their own fund and not a borrowed fund. Right? Second most important aspect, which was exempt under 58A but not exempt under section 76, is share application money pending allotment for a period of exceeding 60 days from the date of receipt of money. So, like we are kind of used to a regime where share application and money is received because money is required by the business. No other way you can do it. Okay, shareholder will say, I am giving. We create to share application money. And then we sit on it for maybe a year, aram se karte hai capital. That now is not there. The only leeway of the exemption of share application money remaining pending for more than 60 days is due to any legal hurdle on making an allotment. Otherwise, in all cases, share application money remaining outstanding more than 60 days will be counted as a deposit. Another very important reason, restriction from the point of view of a business, from the point of view of operations, all advances received, earlier we used to kind of plan, when client comes to us say that paisa chahiye and I can't take because section 58A. I was told that even the finance brokers used to advise companies that usko तीसरा third joint holder shareholder बना दो, shareholder का deposit exempt है. Sometimes people who are not so professional were advising companies that take it as an advance now. I am giving you order also that so much kg, so much tons of goods I am purchasing from you. Against that, I am giving you advance. So take it as an advance in the course of the business and let it remain. And then when you give it back, At that time, I can tell you. So anything which was in the course of a business was exempt earlier. Now, all such advances, if they remain unadjusted, if the sales bill are not adjusted against them, for a period exceeding 365 days, then they will be treated as a deposit. This includes advances for sale towards the sale of immovable property also. And if at the time of accepting of the advances towards the sale of immovable property, if it is so established that company was either not having that property or was not having a right to sell that property, then from day one, such advance will be treated as a deposit. So therefore, difference between CADR 1975 and CADR 2014 will have to be very, very carefully seen by all the companies. As I said, this section does not make distinction between private company and other companies. If you are a not eligible company, you have to do some immediate action points.
In case of builders whose project will go on for more than 1 year, what will happen?
There is a very genuine difficulty. If builders are taking advance towards sale of flats and flats are either not ready or they are not in a position to give possession, they would, in fact, of being non-compliant under section 76, there is no exemption, there is no leeway. Ministry is saying of this issue, they are aware of it. We can only hope that some relaxation, of course with some conditions, would be perhaps given. Till such time it is not given, your concern is very right, it is problem.
Share application money received in the past, for them also, what is the time frame? Outstanding as of 31st.
You mean the transition provision? Something received before 31st March 2014. If there are 3 views which are prevalent. One view is my time of 60 days is prospective. If as at 31st March or as at 1st April, we will say, when the act is becoming effective, 60 days is over, it becomes deposit from that day itself. The other view which some people propound is under the old act, this was not considered to be deposit. So even if time as 60 days has been passed, I don't have to count that time. My time starts from 1st April 2014 and I have 60 days time from that day. The third view, of course, is an extreme view which says within 15 days from 1st April 2014 I have to either allot it or refund it. So I have to get out of the clutches.
Where we get 15 days?
15 days from 1st April. Otherwise the time is 60 days plus 15 days for repayment. So that time of 15 days starts from 1st April. That's an extreme view. The second view is kind of extreme on the other side. So therefore I would take a safe view. If you want to advise a company, if you are in that situation and you want to take benefit, take the second view. My time starts only from 1st April, so I am not dealing. In fact, I don't believe you are dealing. But otherwise, the correct view would be to look at this. If the time is already over 60 days before 31st March, from 1st April, this amount should be considered as deposit except to play it safe. We come to that when we see an obnoxious return DPT4 in one of the case studies. Now, if some deposit is accepted in contravention, 58A used to give this escape route that I didn't know of the provision or under the pressure of the business, etc. I accepted something. I think it was subsection 8 of 58A used to give that escape route saying that if that money is refunded within 1 month, then you are in compliance within 1 month. And 1 month you are supposed to know that what you have done is not as per the law. Now, there is no such provision in section 76, but rule gives a leeway that anything which is accepted in contravention, again 1 month. But that was there in the draft rule. I need to check on that. Maybe I will come on this part, come back and ask the chamber, rather I as a part of chamber will circulate it to the members. So anything which is accepted in contravention by mistake and I want to be compliant with the law, what do I do? So that 1 month time should have been given even under the new provisions. Right? Then let's see items given in the table. The first one is commercial paper, banks, FI, subscribed by banks, FI and QIBs. This is clearly an exempt item under CIDR 2014. It was exempt under old also, no change. Loan from a woman self-help group. Now this is interesting. A society registered under Cooperative Societies Act. Now the exemption that we have a loan from a banks as defined under Banking Regulation Act 1949. Any society or pathpedi or credit institution, all that is not exempt. So this won't be considered as a deposit under CIDR. Share application money is something that we have discussed already. I would deal with Sharmaji's question right away. Share application money pending from an overseas private equity firm. Now look at this. This is genuine case. Share application money pending allotment from an overseas private equity firm received on January 1, 2014, rupees 10 crore. Allotment is pending approval of FDI. Now you can't accept an overseas P or something which is not in automatic route. You have to wait for money comes in. When money comes in, proper banking channel, bank also says towards subscription of shares in that inward remittance certificate. But you have to wait for approval, right? So, genuine reason here, And one of the condition of PE was I put in 10 crore, the present promoter also put in 10 crore, we both together put in 20 crore. So this 20 crore is remaining outstanding from January 1, 2014. Although result is very, very genuine, this would be treated as a deposit under 2014 Act. And as per the view I said, conservative view, we should treat it as deposit right from 1st April without going by the. If you want to go by the second view, maybe after 60 days from 1st April, you should have either allotted or refunded. If not that, then it will be considered as a deposit.
But sir, foreign money received of foreign exchange, in that case, this limit is not only Indian. Section 3 not specific.
CADR does not.
No, under,
If you read CADR 2014,
under deposit rules, exempted definition which they have given.
under 58,
No, not under the
new law.
they have specifically said it is applicable only to the resident in foreign exchange. It is not the time limit of.
Private equity investment may not necessarily be a foreign exchange. Maybe private equity is already operating in India.
If it is in Indian rupees, there is no remittance.
Private equity is already operating in India. It is already operating in India. May not.
But suppose somebody else.
The case which I have taken up is a practical. These people came to us as asking what to do. We said, no, you have a genuine problem. I mean, other than sympathizing with you, we can't do anything.
No, because we are doing this work now.
Yeah.
There is a big difference between Indian money and foreign exchange. If you have received under FDI route, either automatic or RBI, in that case, you have to go under RBI for 6 months.
So when RBI approves it,
Then you can award.
see when RBI approves it, you make the allotment, right? Now sometimes that process goes beyond 60 days. This is the issue I want to highlight.
No, but in that case also you are not supposed to. You can wait up to that after.
CADR 2014 should have covered this exemption. It's not covering, that's what I mean. It should have covered. Okay. Then debenture issued by mortgage of property of the company. Now all secured loans are out of CADR, so secured debentures would be out of. The condition, sorry.
I was just
only condition that has been put is the value of the security, market value of the security should not be more than outstanding value of the debentures. Otherwise, excess will be treated as a deposit. To that extent, they are unsecured. Now, earlier we have this very handy and good tool, is optionally convertible debentures, OCD, which was exempt. Now it is not exempt, so that tool is kind of gone out of our hands. Loan received from Mr. A, who is a relative of director, as we saw earlier, directors and relatives were there in 58A, not now. So that is also considered as a deposit. Loan received from Mrs. Y, a shareholder of a company. Now if it is within limits and with those conditions, this may perhaps get out of the deposit. If it is outside that limit, the excess will be treated as a deposit. Advance from customers towards goods outstanding from 1st December 2012, 1 year is over. From day 1, it is deposit. Now, genuine problem comes here. One genuine problem was described by Sharmaji. This another genuine problem. Retention money deposit. Now, what is retention money? Suppose I put an order of a very sophisticated advanced machinery. I got it made, fabricated through a local engineering firm. They installed it. Terms of my condition said that out of total money payable to you, I shall retain 5% for the period of 3 years. Is this a normal thing in a business for all capex installation kind of things or capex matters? Now those retention money would remain, it's part of my liability, would remain in my books for 3 years under the terms of the contract. You do not see any exemption there.
So that is a creditor, it can never be termed as a loan or deposit.
Any sum of money received. So from there it goes out. Deposit, it starts with any sum of money received. either by way of a loan or advance or in any other form.
Right, but suppose I have to pay 10 crore
I
and 1 crore I am retaining
I would
for
sub-
3 years. It is my credit.
If I am part of, under this situation, I would agree that argue the same way. But unfortunately, deposit definition starts under the rule says deposit, receipt of a sum of money by way of a loan or advance or in any other form. Now I have received that machinery, I have not paid for it. Great.
So simple thing is we have to pass a credit entry for the machinery value.
Exactly.
And debit the
You
amount what we have
have
paid.
exactly hammered the nail.
Just like in the case
So
of
in all
builder.
such situations, that care will have to be.
Builder also the same thing will do. We have not to worry about builders.
How?
Say for example, I have sold 10 crore flat to an XYZ. I will debit his account by 10 crore rupees. And if I receive 2 crore as advance, I will credit his account. He will be my debtor for 8 crore rupees. And I will be better off in current ratio also before the bank. I am not having any deposit.
Sir, for debiting his account, what would you credit?
Sales, which you are going to
Say,
look at
I will
the
credit is whatever I have received. Whatever check I have received, 2 crore rupees, I will credit.
No,
8
you are
crore
trying
is
to
my
say-
balance to receive from it.
I would.
So I am not having any deposit from me. Fine.
Then you are trying to say for whatever money I am receiving from a bidder, I will bill him first.
Exactly.
I will bill him, right?
Bill him.
So bill meaning debited him.
Debit.
Now, whenever we do billing, bill to the flat buyer or the unit buyer, then credit many a times goes to sales, where my proportionate completion etc. would govern whether I can do credit to sales or not. If I have not reached the threshold, if I have not reached, now there is a threshold. If I have not completed 25% of my total cost estimate, I cannot recognize something as a revenue. So if debiting him is possible without recognizing the revenue, those are the ways we have to explore to get out of this if we do not get any relaxation from the commission. Yes, sir.
If a private limited company is a partnership concern, and if it overdraws an amount, private limited company is a partnership or LLP. So हम इसको capital account it overdraws the capital account.
I think if you see deposit definition, the way it is made, it starts with receipt of money. So this is receipt of money by way of a loan or advance or in any other form. So you have this category. Security deposit from Mr. Shah, a cashier, whose annual salary is 16 lakhs. We have received 1 crore deposit. Now here, the CADR 75 puts a limit of annual salary only. If you have received up to annual salary deposit, it is exempt. Otherwise, excess will be treated as a deposit. Deposit accepted from public anyways was a deposit, so it will remain deposit. Now, first of all, eligibility. The question says two things. Eligibility, we have seen that under provisions of section 76, this is eligible. Advise the company as to step it should take. Now, these are the action points. Identify all the non-exempt items. Wherever is a grey area and you can explore the way as the sir suggested, please explore.
No, I am just
Keep your papers free. See, sir, what I am trying to say, from this dais I cannot advocate any planning or anything which is no. But nonetheless, a bad law deserves a bad. So
good planning comes out of bad law only.
So identify non-exempt deposits. Furnish the return DPT 4 under section 74. Mind you, this return is a transition return. Law says before commencement of this act, if you have accepted any deposit, now it uses the word deposit, so deposits will have to be raised in terms of definition of CADR 2014, not CADR 1975. Therefore, the difference between the two becomes important. That's what we have seen the important areas. Now, this deposit originally was required to be filed, last date was 30th June. I believe day before yesterday only that limit has been extended to 30th August. 31st. Is it 31st? 31st August, right? So we have time for that. I mean, take proper view on this. Include all your deposits and file this. That is another action point. For it, the return under DPT3, which is normal return which you are doing under old 58A also. There was no number to that form, return form, which we were doing every June. Up to March, position of June, which we are filing. So DPT3 pretty much the same that return. Arrangement for repayment or otherwise adjusting the non-exempt deposit, because the time given by section 76(2) is 1 year from the commencement of act or as per the schedule, whichever is later. Whichever is earlier. Now here also, the example you can find that rule giving you a benefit which section is not given. The rule 19 of CADR 2014 says that if you have accepted a deposit, now this rule has been kept in mind taking into eligible companies and compliant companies. If they have accepted some deposits with a repayment schedule of 3 years, why do they have to repay before 1 year? What's wrong in that? So if it remains proper deposit within the limits, within the interest discipline, then Rule 19 gives you an escape route from this 1 year draconian provision of this thing. But otherwise, like share application money, like advances, which do not fall into any of those exempt categories, in those cases, I think we have time for 1 year only. So therefore, the action points, alert the promoters, managers of the company that look here, we need to do something about it. The time of filing return will arrive very soon. And in one of those meetings, when it was mentioned to this thing, I am told the ministry had informed many organizations that they are aware, time of 30th June or 3 months is very less, we will extend it, but extension will be given only once. This is what informally overheard from. So we have this relaxation up to 31st August.
Rule 19 of CDR. There is a benefit provided under Rule 19 of the CDR rules.
CDR.
What does it?
It says that if a company at the time of commencement of this law has accepted any deposit for which repayment schedule has been fixed, and there is no default either in the payment of interest or repayment of the principal in past, then that company can carry on and repay as per the schedule which is given.
Generally, the practice is, these family loans, there are no schedules because it's like repayable whenever. So now, there in that case, what is the...
Under section 76, can we accept anything that is repayable on demand?
No, not on demand, because maybe, after 3 years, 5 years.
Yeah, if there is a schedule of 3 years, 5 years, you can continue that. And there is no default. That is the condition. And you should be eligible. Non-eligible company is not.
No, eligible in the private companies. But then when you say eligibility means that 25%
No. Section 76 that if your capital is so much, if you are a public company, if your turnover is so much, then only you accept.
No, private, I'm talking about private company.
Private company, there is no limit. They have time of 1 year.
Then they will not be out from Rule 19.
No, Rule 19 does
But
not.
if I have accepted...
Rule 19 gives leeway to eligible companies for genuine deposits which are accepted for a longer period, in which case there has not been any default in past.
But for private companies, if I have accepted a deposit for 5 years, committing a particular rate of interest, and after 1 year if I say that, okay, you take the money back, that fellow will also refuse.
So that's not loss. That's not loss. Section 74 says that also. Section 74 is in the act for that also. That the gap between CADR 75 and otherwise this will go on. They will say that this was accepted earlier. So that 1 year upper limit is there. And therefore the action points.
You can make it director.
Swear it. And give a declaration that this was at the time of giving this was my own money, not borrowed money. Yes, sir. Yeah. I thought deposit, public deposit is such an issue which would interest on the, now of course you can